It's 6 o'clock on Saturday, the 28th of September, 2019. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to RTV Ora's English edition. My name is Oliver, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Up first tonight, in an exclusive interview for Ora News, President Alire Mehta reveals he is not persuaded by the arguments put forward in Venice that by decreeing the cancellation of the June 30th elections, the head of state had, in effect, exceeded his powers. Alire Mehta is determined to extend his mandate and does not intend on withdrawing despite Venice Commission's October 11th decision. When asked if the head of state is afraid of the Venice Commission, Mehta answered, "How can the Golden Lion of Venice this year be scared of Venice? Be reassured that Venice's Golden Lion for this year will be as if he kept his promise until July 24th. This is over. Nobody gets tired of dealing with this date for the 11th of October. October 11th exists for those who want to prolong the crisis, deepen it, and cover many other problems. For me, there is only one important date, the 18th, so that Albania is able to move towards the opening of negotiations and fulfill all the obligations that are clear and need to be increased. My appeal is for everyone to focus on resolving the crisis and take the example of the president in respecting the Constitution and its principles that are sacred to me," said Mehta. Unlike the Venice draft published a day ago, the head of state indicates that the local elections were held in an abnormal situation, as the right to vote was questionable. The presidency has raised concerns about the Venice Commission draft because, although published on Friday, the document is dated on September 29th. Therefore, before the head of state's institution takes a stand, this draft will be clarified in advance. When our staff is clear on what the draft is and its corresponding dates, the response from the president's institution will again be made available to the public, international partners, and all members of the Venice Commission. But there is no concern, zero concern. The President of the Republic has made zero violations of the Constitution and made an excellent defense of the Constitution and for political pluralism. The only concern for President Mehta is October 18th, when the decision to negotiate with Albania is expected to be released. The President of the Republic of Albania, Alire Mehta, has been awarded in Venice with the Golden Lion International Prize. The award is given in honor of his contributions to promoting democracy and political pluralism, strengthening peace and stability in the Balkans, promoting coexistence and religious harmony, and for strengthening Italian-Albanian relations. Next up tonight, the European Union ambassador to Albania, Luigi Soreca, reminds the Albanian government that the yes on Germany's conditions is only meant to be a positive step forward, since before the opening of the EU negotiations can take place, Albania must first fulfill these conditions. Until the EU Intergovernmental Conference takes place, electoral reform must be approved, and the Constitutional Court and Supreme Courts must be functional, he said. What is important in the German Bundestag resolution is that the federal government has been given the mandate to say yes to open up negotiations. This means that if the position is shared by all other member states, the Council in October will take this important decision and will take it once and for all. If this decision is made, it is the decision of the Council of the European Union. Then there will be an intergovernmental conference where the European Union and Albania will sit together for the formal opening of negotiations. What has been requested by the Bundestag, and we will see if this is confirmed by the Council, is that in the time between the decision of the Council to open negotiations and the first conference, it can take between 3 to 6 months, and it is imperative that the two conditions are met. But to meet the other conditions for the first phase, according to the head of the EU delegation, the unification of all forces is required, the left and the right, inside and outside Parliament. The government, Parliament, the President, non-parliamentary opposition, civil society, and the media, if and when the decision is taken by the EU Council in October, must work together in order to push Albania forward. There must be a national unity, said Ambassador Soreca. Following the decision of the German Bundestag, the positions of France and the Netherlands should also be taken into consideration. Positions which were iterated in June against the opening of negotiations for Albania and North Macedonia. The final decision will take place on October 18th at the EU Council meeting. Up next tonight, low wages in Albania provide nothing more than basic food supplies. Instat data shows that 44% of wages are spent on food purchases alone in the country. Expert Arben Malai points out that this is linked to the fact that the sources of incomes for Albanians remain only their salary, which has not increased at a time that living expenses go up. Malai points out that the problem remains the lack of competition in the markets, which leads to a high price for the country's citizens. It turns out that Elbasan and Dibra are among the least expensive cities nationwide, but citizens say they are obliged to buy just the essentials. According to Instat, spending among Albanian citizens has increased by 3.5% during 2018, while wage growth has almost remained the same. Well, the prosecution has launched an investigation into the operation which seized 137 kilograms of cocaine in 4 containers blocked in the port of Durrës. Sources from police have informed that they are suspicious that the traffickers received information about the operation before law enforcement intervened. For this reason, the containers were kept under strict surveillance for 2 weeks, and the intervention was made after 3 people arrived to pick up the cargo. Also, sources from the Serious Crimes Court have announced that the circle of investigators has indeed expanded. The staff is expected to be questioned about each shift throughout the day up to the moment of the intervention. It is learned that the port authorities from the highest to the lowest levels are under investigation. Even the agencies operating in the port's territory and the border police are under investigation. Cocaine was first discovered at the Piraeus port in Greece, where it was replaced with rice. Subsequently, in cooperation with Albanian authorities, a controlled delivery of goods was organized. 3 people have been detained by the operation, and Gentian Malindi, the fugitive, has been declared wanted. And up next tonight, 1 week after the earthquake that hit the country on Sunday, the Tirana municipality has initiated a reassessment of the damages for the reconstruction of uninhabited houses. This Saturday, the director of the Municipal Emergency Number 2, along with the task force, was in Administrative Unit Number 5 to identify the damages caused by the earthquake. So far, the emergency staff at the Tirana municipality has inspected over 3,000 buildings, but it is expected to increase their numbers even further. The most problematic areas are those in the suburbs of Tirana, mainly Ndroç, Peza, and Baldushk. As a result of Saturday's earthquake, many families have been relocated to social centers, and some others have received umbrellas from the municipality. And finally tonight, all farmers who are registered will benefit from cheaper oil. Out of fear, the Agriculture Minister, Bledi Chuchi, promised that the new scheme would provide tax-free oil, and he hopes to implement it soon. Responding to farmers' concerns about the livestock matriculation, the minister said that the veterinary service would be fully controlled by the state and would be free of charge. Referring to the documentation on the applications for farmers' support funds, the minister said that the procedures were maximized. Meanwhile, regarding the property issue, Minister Chuchi mentioned that the new law that was prepared to address this problem is also being under review by the Venice Commission. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you so much for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. On behalf of RTV Ora, thank you and have a good weekend.